Alright, so there's a game I played recently called Citizen Sleeper. I would recommend it for sure, although the beginning definitely wasn't my cup of tea. This is also a warning in that regard. If you also dislike pretentious metaphors and technobabble with zero backstory right from the start, then know that it gets better later on. And in turn you get a story of people, robots and intangible AI. What is it about? Life of a sleeper is a difficult one, hunted for being a sentient AI, constantly deteriorating and thirsting for energy, all the while being seen as a terrifying affront to nature and life itself. And yet some people decide to escape their lives and replicate their minds in a synthetic body, bound for the alien's eye. What did I like? The melancholy and desperation amplified by the music. Although I don't think I'd listen to it outside of a game, a bit too depressing for my liking. Here it's a perfect complement. It's a wonderful dystopian blend of mystery which I've missed since Shadowrun. Although here it seems more mature perhaps. The exact words elude me. I've definitely enjoyed how much of a struggle it was just to exist, with the need for stabilizers, constant hunger, despite not truly needing food, and all the while living on borrowed time with a bounty hunter on the loose. Everyone also seeks to exploit the player, asking to do favors before giving anything in return, if they do. In some cases the payback is just knowing what you've helped, in some other cases it's witnessing a murder and receiving hush money. But life is hard and so are the people. The characters I've also enjoyed, although I do wish there was more overlap between them. There are similar issues some of them are going through, so if there was an option to just offer one of them to interact with another... well, whatever. I'm just upset I can't help Lem any more than I've already done. And that's the thing. The game made me care for these people. Fang, despite stringing me along, fought the good fight. Tala had her harebrained schemes with the mushrooms. Amphis, tough exterior and a realistic backstory. Bliss and the whole mess she and her work is. It's a world. I'd also like to praise the overall idea. It's a story which feels both novel and classic. The main character is something of a fish out of water with no real past and no real future. They're stuck in this island, ring world in space, and have to make do with what they can. The kind of story is extremely flexible and can do so many different things, and it pretty much does. I won't want to spoil the endings to the storylines, but needless to say they end up in very different places. Although I passed on all of them to experience more of what the eye has to offer. Apparently according to the store page there are even more major updates coming out, so I'd be excited to see where that goes. What did I dislike? Really my only major complaint is, like I said at the beginning. I think a few stories share this exact problem. Perfect example is probably Choice of Robots and Wraiths of the Sentinel. It's when a game or movie or whatever else goes into abstract, metaphysical and philosophical before establishing anything. The first few minutes a player is supposed to paint a picture of what they are and what they are to do. Yet there is a mountain of text without explanation and instead talking about out-of-body experiences and other nonsense. I enjoyed it later after knowing what I am, but in the beginning it was a very rocky start. The game didn't even save until going through the opening scene. It's possible to skip the text of course, but that's just a waste. I feel like I'll miss something important there. I'm of the belief that less is more in the beginning. Throw the player in and slowly unravel everything. Don't dump the info about the Hunter Eye backstory of the collapse and all that nonsense. Horrible idea. Horrible. Another thing, there are 2 times I counted on characters who didn't know each other prior to players' actions interacted. First with Bliss, made sense and it was well done. Second with Lem was a little... I don't know, I didn't enjoy it very much. I think it didn't need to be such a heavy-handed blackmail, but whatever. Anyway, that's not a complaint. The problem is that I wanted people to know each other through the sleeper, or have a way to interact more outside of their own little bubble. And once their story is concluded, they vanish from the story forever. With only some even having locations dedicated to them despite not leaving the station. It's a little bit like Skyrim. Become the Archmage, and then nothing really changes much. I suppose the meat of the story was the journey, but I wanted more at the destination. Like Hades, with little interactions peppered in after finishing the game. Hades is kind of a cop-out answer though. And another thing is probably the dialogue choices. A lot of them feel meaningless. Some do seem to affect the results, but a lot are basically there for the sake of being rude. It's a little bare bones in that regard. Although sometimes the choices are done through the actions taken prior to dialogue, building up points prior to that which are mutually exclusive. Still, the complaint is that the game feels a little more linear than I would like. So I'd say I very much enjoyed my time with Citizen Sleeper, and the good very much outweighs the bad, but I'm not sure if there is enough variety for multiple playthroughs. The game didn't drag, but it only took me a few evenings to get through most of it, so it might seem a little expensive for how short it is.